Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Sew Along series. This time we are going to be making McCall's M8141 dress for this Sew Along series. And I'm going to do something a little bit different this time. I'm going to actually be mixing um, two sections of this dress. So overall, I'm going to be making dress B. But what I'm going to do is take the bow collar from dress A and put that on dress B. So that requires a little bit of cutting out a few different pieces, um, or a few extra pieces from the A dress and using that for the B dress. And then also in the instructions, I'll have to, at some point while I'm following along the instructions with dress B, um, I will have to flip back over to A when I'm working on the collar part, and then flip back to working on bodice B. So I think that flip over will happen um, at around step step 31, where we're starting to work on the um, the sleeve portion. We'll go ahead and jump to dress A, um, to follow those instructions, and then we'll go along back to dress B. So hopefully this all turned out correctly. The reason I'm doing this is because I really liked the um, the collar on dress A, but I didn't like the sleeves on dress A. And I like dress B. I like the sleeves on dress B, but I didn't like the collar. Felt like I needed a little bit more, I guess, drama to it. So hopefully, mixing collar A onto dress B won't be too much drama, but that is the plan for this dress. I'm really excited to make this one. Actually looks like a nice holiday dress that you could use, um, since it is that time of year. Uh, so this pattern should be fun, and I hope you all enjoy this series. And we will go ahead and get started with some pattern pieces. All right, everyone. So the next steps, let's go ahead and check out our pattern pieces and what we will need to make dress B, and along with swapping that out for collar A. So the pattern pieces we'll need we're gonna need, of course, we need number one, which is the bodice front. Number two, the bodice back. We're skipping number three, sleeve A, because we are going to be making dress B, but we will be using number five, which is collar A here, this piece. And then we'll also be using sleeve B, cuff B. This piece is number 6 and 7. This is 7 here. I have 6 over to the side. It's quite large. It would cover the whole table since those are very puffy sleeves. and we would be skipping uh, piece 8, of course, because we're going to be using piece 5 color A instead. And then we also have the skirt front B, skirt back B, which those pieces 9 and 10, are also off to the side, since those are large pieces as well. And as far as the sizes that I've already cut out, the size that I'm gonna cut out, or the size that I did cut out, was for a size 22 finished garment measurements, matching up with the body measurements for a size 22 for this dress. Hopefully, I was trying to decide between the 20 and the 22. I'm hoping I'm not making it too big. So that is the plan for now. So let's go ahead. We'll go over a little bit more of the materials. The collar piece A required interfacing on that, so we'll have to apply the interfacing to that piece. And then here I've already got the interfacing cut out here. And then some of the pieces required lining. I think this one, 13 here, 14 required lining. Also pieces 1 and I believe piece 2 required lining to go on those. So those have already been cut out. All right. So, as I said, we are going to be using color A for dress B. So, in the instructions, we're going to skip over bodice A and go to the bodice B section, which starts at, let's see, step 19 is where bodice B picks up here. It's very similar to our dress A section. All right. So there we have it. We'll be starting at, this will be step 20. So the first set of instructions are to stitch bodice front 1 to bodice back 2 at the side seams. So here is our bodice front piece, and then here's our bodice back piece. So we'll get that pinned together. We'll move over to the sewing machine and get those stitched, and then we'll also have to repeat and do the same for the lining. So let's go ahead and get started on that. We'll move these pieces to the side for now until we need them. And here are 2 pieces that we will be pinning together here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my pins here. Okay, so we can release that piece. Alright, so that's our pattern piece. Oh, I left one right here. I'll take that out and put our pattern piece to the side. And then, as before, I said this is our lining here. I'm going to adjust the camera just a little bit here. And hopefully that'll look a little bit better and catch a little bit more of everything there. Great. All right, so I'm gonna move the lining off to the side because we'll be picking that back up and doing the same for it. So so this is our good side and this is our back side. Actually, I ended up marking my right side instead of my wrong side when I was doing my chopped marks, but that'll be okay. Then let's also unclip and unpin the bodice back piece here. And oh, I left one more. That white pin is very hard to see against the white paper. So we're gonna move this pattern piece off to the side as well. And then here's our lining pieces. And then move those off. And it's two of those, just like it's two of these. So basically, we're going to let's see, stitch these two pieces together at side seams. All right, so here are side seams here. So I'll lay that here, and then here's one side seam on this side, and then we got the other side seam on this side. So basically, here are my notches here. Line up my notches here. And let's throw a couple pins in there. And this fabric is kind of slippery, which is unfortunate. I don't think I've ever sewn with this type. It's some type of a satin mix, I believe. I may be saying that wrong, but yeah, it was a very pretty color, I thought, at the fabric store, and I chose it to make this dress. Okay. All right, so we got that pinned, and then let's do the other side. Like this. Make sure we are lining up our notches. They're a bit hard to see, but they are there. You can see them there. They are here. So we're gonna throw a couple pins in there and make sure we're all lined up here. Okay, and then one more piece, one more pin over here. Try to line up this end part here. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Might put one more over here just to keep the edges lined up. I think that's good. Might move this one a little bit here. Try to make sure it's laying flat. So we got our um our bodice back pieces here pinned and ready to sew to our bodice front piece here. All right, so let's go ahead and move over to the sewing machine. All right, so now we are at our sewing machine and let's see if we can get these pieces stitched together. All right, let's try to get lined up in the sewing machine here. Alright. I think that's pretty good here. And we're at for this one everything is at 5/8 for our seam allowance. So we will be right there for our 5/8. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that pin. And I'm gonna adjust the camera a little bit here. Hopefully it'll focus a little bit better. And all right, here we go. Okay. Here we go. Going to come forward a little bit so I can go backwards. So forward and back. And 1 second, looks like something is going on with my needle. So 1 second. All right, so I checked, just rethreaded my sewing machine. Something was going on there. So let's try this again here. Once again, we're at 5/8 here. And let's go forward one, go back one, and go. Okay, looking good. And almost there. And backwards view. And there we go for that one. Okay, and then we'll do our other side here. Okay, make sure our strings are back in the right spot here. Alright, gonna go ahead and remove that first pin there. Let's get us lined up at our 5/8. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to go forward a little, go backward. Okay. Take your pin out there. Adjust our fabric a little bit here. Pan out here. Definitely making sure that fabric stays straight under there. Move this pin. Straighten up our fabric a little bit, and we'll take it all the way to the end here. Go back a little bit for our lock stitch at the end. All right, and that is our two side seams. So let's go back over to the table where we will do the same for our lining pieces. So I'll get those pinned, and then we'll be back over to the sewing machine again. All right, so we're back at the table here. Here are our pieces. I trimmed our threads a little bit. For this type of fabric, it's already fraying pretty bad. I know I'm gonna need to do something, some type of finishing for these, but I think I'm going to wait until we get that lining in, because I think I may have to do some understitching, but we'll see. But yeah, I think I am just going to I don't have a serger So I'm gonna just do my pinking shears here to try to get those finished. Um, Actually, I'm gonna check our directions just to see what they recommend for finishing. Let's see, seam allowances, 5/8. Press seam allowances flat and open, and then clip where necessary. Yeah, I think I'm going to so yeah, I would need to press those open and then clip them um, to make this line up nice. But yeah, let's go ahead and see what we need to do for the lining. So I'm gonna move this set here out of the way. And we're gonna grab our other pieces and basically do the same thing. So here is our lining. I don't really think either side is the good side or the bad side. Looks about the same to me. It's lining. So and then here are two side pieces here. So let's get these pinned. Alright, so just gotta make sure everything is turned correctly and make sure my pieces are correct as well. So I think this one goes over here. Yes, because that lines up good there. Grab my pins. And all right, I think we're kind of pretty much lined up there. Let me move that one because now I'm seeing it. It doesn't look very lined up. I should have probably ironed these pattern pieces out a little bit because they're very wrinkly and it's causing issues here with laying flat. And that's the last thing we need, those type of issues. Okay, so we got a couple pins in there. And then let's do our other side as well. Just double checking to make sure I got everything correct here. There we go. That's how it should look. Okay, gonna line up my cuts, my notches. Put our first pin. Put another pin. And another. And I might have to adjust that one because we're a little offline back here. And put one more down here at the end. Okay. So we got that pinned. Put one right here. Even though I might end up taking that out, just to hold it there. Okay, so we got everything pinned again for our lining. So let's go over to our sewing machine. All right, we are back and we're over at our sewing machine again here. So let's do a side. Get one of these sides. All right, let's go with this side here. See if we can get our fabric in here and get it to lay flat. And make sure my thread is in the right spot because we don't want any mishaps again. All right, we're gonna line up at our 5/8 again. All right, let me grab my pin cushion here. Take out the first pin and let's go. We'll do let's see, we'll do one forward and again. Okay. Take that guy out here. Go a little slow till we get to the end here. And put our lock stitch in. Alright, so that is one more done. I am just gonna, I do know that I'm using purple thread and a black lining. I'm sure I'm supposed to switch over, but I don't want to re-thread and swap over just to change colors. So I'm fine with the lining having a different color thread. So all right, and we're just gonna get our other side lined up here. Get it in the machine. Line it up at our 5/8 again. Okay, we're gonna remove that first pin, and then let's go a little bit here. 1 forward, 2 backward, go again. All right, pin. Move that in. Alright, and we're almost to the end. To our last pin here. Just gonna adjust the fabric a little bit. Okay. And back a couple stitches there. Alright. And that is our other side seam in our lining. So let's go back to the table and see what we got. Alright, we are back at the table. Here's our lining piece. All sewn at the side seams per the instructions. So let's check out and see what we have next. Let me get our other pieces too, so you can see those lined up. Okay, so here's our actual fabric piece. Here's our lining piece, and now we're still at step 21. So we stitch the bodice front and bodice back lining at the seams, and then it says with right sides together, we're going to pin the bodice to the lining at the back edges, and then we're going to stitch, and then we're going to understitch the lining. So the back edges, which I'm assuming, let's see, pin the bodice to the lining at back edges. So so here is so that's the bodice front section, and this is the bodice back sections. Then the back edges would be, I guess, along here. And then we're understitching. So the back edges, yeah, the back edges would go from here all the way around, and then through here, I believe. So let's go ahead and get everything pinned. Or I'm guessing, I'm looking at the instructions again here. It looks like it might be The back edges. It looks like it's just gonna be uh, just along here. Just here. And then here. Based on our picture here, um, it's got the seams running here and here, and not necessarily all the way around. So, all right, so we'll trust the picture here in this case. So let's go ahead and get pinned. Let me grab my pins. And it says, so we're pinning with right sides together. Right sides. We'll say, since our mark on this one is on that side, we'll say this is the right side for this piece. And then, of course, this was the right side for that piece. I was actually thinking of remarking here. Actually, I think I am going to do that while I can still get to our pieces here. Just gonna grab a piece of chalk and just kind of eyeball it a little bit. I can probably just use a pen here to make sure I hit the right spots. Let's do that, like so. And hit this one as well. And just kind of fill them in here and here. And then we'll gotta do the same on the other side. And one more here. And that way we'll have our markings on both sides. Hopefully that will help us out in the long run when we're lining things up. Okay, I'm just gonna darken those a little bit more, just by a little bit. Put the chalk back in here. Okay, and like we were doing before, we're gonna be doing right sides to right sides at the back edge. Just here. And Alright, we got that side done. Nice and pinned. Let's do our other side. Right, gonna pin. And one more down here, our edge here. Actually, let me line that one up a little bit better here. Okay. All right. So we got our edges pinned, ready to stitch those together at our sewing machine. So let's head back to our sewing machine. All right, everybody, we are back at our sewing machine here. Getting ready to stitch our fabric to the lining. So we're going to line up at our 5/8. I'm going to go ahead and remove that pin. And let's see, we'll do a couple stitches forward, a couple stitches backwards, go back forward again here. I'll move that guy out of the way. Trying to keep our fabric straight here. A little difficult since I mentioned before it's very slippery. Adjust our fabric there a little bit. Alright, almost to the end here. Alright, and put a couple of back stitches in there, lock it in place. Alright. So that is one edge done there. Okay, so let's go over to our other end. And do the same. Rinse and repeat. Okay, let's get our threads in the right spot back here. Alright, gonna line up at our 5/8. Perfect. Gonna take out our first pin here. Alright, go forward a couple, back a couple. And speaking of fashion, I have been watching Emily in Paris, the latest season, I think season 5, and I am loving the fashions. But so far, I still think my favorite outfit of hers was from last season when she wore that the black and white stripe number. That one was amazing. So yeah, if you're into fashion, definitely check out Emily in Paris. I believe it's on Netflix. So just a little tidbit. I don't know why I was thinking about that, but probably just because I'm sewing, and you always just wonder um, about all the work that goes to the costumes and the wardrobes on shows like that. So, hats off to those folks. Alright, we're almost here at the end. Couple of lock stitches here. Alright. Okay. And I will meet you guys back at the table. Alright, folks, we are back at our table. So we just stitched the side seams of the fabric to the lining here. And this is it here, what it looks like opened out. And so that's that side. And so our next step here in our instructions, I zoomed in a little bit on the bottom right, trying to see how to do the understitch, because the directions say after you stitch, understitch the lining. So understitching, so basically you're gonna pull out the lining and then stitch it to the seam allowance here, and you want to try to get as close to the seam as possible. So we'll do the understitch on both sides. So let's go ahead and go back over to the table and get that lined up and done. Okay, we are back at our sewing machine here. Let's get our stitches, our thread here lined up properly. And let's do our understitch. Alright, so we'll start on this one first. Just making sure my lining, everything is lined up there. Alright, so basically I'm going to try to get as close to the seam as possible. I think I normally just kind of put my foot like right there on the existing seam line and then kind of work from there. So let's go ahead and do that. stitching our lining to our seam allowances underneath. Try to keep this as flat as I can, because we don't want wrinkles. Probably should have pressed it as well, but the instructions didn't necessarily say to press. So hopefully that won't come back to bite us. But I could see where pressing it ahead of time would have helped with that seam allowance to lay down a little bit better underneath here. We're almost to the end here. Alright, put in a couple of lock stitches there. Alright, and that is our understitch for that one side. And so let's find our other side here and do the same for it. Okay. Let's get our foot lined up here. Make sure we're flat and it's open. All right, here we go. A couple back stitches there. Going good here. Just trying to make sure that everything is staying flat. I'm just gonna take a peek under here, make sure my seam allowance is still laying down there, because that would be unfortunate to have to redo. But not the end of the world. And we're almost to the end here. Just trying to keep my fabric straight and flat. Alright, a couple back stitches. Alright, and that is our second side done. So let's head back to the table and see what we did. Okay, we are back at the table. Alright, so let's check out our understitching. Let's see. And so here's one side there. Pretty good. And I'm gonna go ahead and snip. I forgot to snip my threads off of there, so we'll go ahead and do that. And snip the one back here as well. Yeah, so this nice understitch we got there. All the way down. Got a little off a little bit down there at the end, but that's okay. It's only as straight as the line I'm following, so and then let's take a look at our other side. Pretty good as well. I'm gonna snip our threads here. Okay. And so now we have our two understitch sides. All right. So let's take a little preview of our next steps. So I'm going to adjust our bottom right here. And zoom back out because I had to zoom very far in to see this picture over here. All right, so the next steps, we're gonna turn the lining. So that means basically turning it in, pressing it, base the neck back and armhole edges together, base the lower ends together, and then we're gonna be doing a gather up here between our dots. Says between the large circles, so I think these two here were our large circles there. But I can always take a quick look on our pattern piece. Yeah, so it'll be here. So I think it's the second set here. For our gathering between the large circles. Yeah. So we'll go because I think this is pertaining to this piece A. But this is for we're doing dress B, so we'll go with the outside ones here. We'll gather between here and here. All right, so that'll be our next steps. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the lining in, press that, and then probably come back after we've pressed that to do some pinning and then basting for the rest of our pattern piece here. Okay, we are back. So I've set up my ironing board and my iron. I think this is a charmeuse. I think that's how you say it. So I set my iron to like nylon. This is like almost the lowest setting on the iron. So we'll see how that goes, but um, we'll turn it on the lining side just in case something happens. But so gonna give it a little bit of a press here, and then I'll also press press my seams while I'm at it. So let's just see. Hopefully this is hot enough. Okay, yeah, I think that's good enough. Just giving it a little press here to make sure lining kind of stays down where it's supposed to. Alright. Okay. So there we have it. Nice press after our understitch there. Let's go ahead and do the other side as well, and then we'll do some of these seams as well too. Okay, just trying to fold it down right on the edge so you can get it nice and crisp. Okay. Let's see if we can get that one a little bit closer to the edge there. Alright, good deal. It's a little damp from the steam. That is a-okay. I'm sure that will dry. Alright, so let's take a look at some of these side seams here. I may also go ahead and try to trim those as well for the finishing. So just pressing that open. ahead and do the peeping shears here. Get a little trim. Because once we baste everything together in the next step, I don't think I'll be able to reach these anymore. So let's go ahead and take care of those right now. Okay, so you got that one done. We got one down here. Gonna press open. Alright. And give it a little trim too. Same thing. Alright. Cool. This is gonna shake off that trimmings there. So I got that one done. I don't think I'm gonna do anything with this one. I may give it up because we already pressed this one. So let's go to the other side here. We're gonna go to our lining and do the same for those pieces too. So everything lays nicely and we'll get ready to put our pieces together all the way. Alright, so it's gonna go ahead and press this open. Try to give it a trim the best I can here. Definitely don't want to actually cut the lining. And it's gonna give it a little shake here. Try to get some of that out of the way because I don't want that sticking to my iron. And then I'm just gonna turn it around so I can cut the other piece too. Okay, I think that's good enough there. Just give it another little shake here. Of course, we'll clean all of that up later. Okay, just trying to get this off my ironing board. Okay, and then I think think we got one more seam. Yeah, here we go. I see it. So I'm gonna press it open. I don't know if it's easier to cut it then press it, but we're pressing and then we're cutting. So that's how we're doing it. Wondering if I could just cut this together. Save myself a little time here. Okay. Did not save myself time because I didn't catch the other side. That's okay. Just gotta be patient. Cannot rush sewing. Okay. All right. So we got a nice finished seam there. And it's a little string right there. Just clip that right on off. Okay. All right. So our next steps, we're going to do some basting and gathering at these edges. So I'm going to clear off our table and so we can go ahead and pin those for the basting.